Earth just got clamped by an unknown force and caught a serious case of the blood crabs. How will humanity survive the upcoming STD? Well, let's have a look. As a quick aside, I'm pretty sure I'm dumber for having watched this movie. And misery loves company, and your company in this case, so let's speed run the brain cell apocalypse. Here we go. We start off with a family on a boat. There is mom, dad, sis, and bro. Very, very complicated there. Mom is out for a swim away from the ship, which would terrify the absolute crap out of me. But she seems to be enjoying it right up until she almost dies. Dad and sis end up saving her by sailing the boat, driving the boat, piloting the boat closer to her, and Dad jumping into the drink and rescuing her ass. Both kids manage to pull both parents out of the drink, and they are saved. We got to a little bit later, where Mom and Dad try to get frisky after the near-death experience. If not, why not? We find out it's little bro's birthday, and he's 13 years old, and makes him old enough to talk tick with the best of them, or is that really Bookface, or I'm not sure. He does receive gifts from everyone, and has a little light verbal sparring match with his sister. Everything is going hunky-dory. A little later on, Sis face Skypes her boyfriend and much mushy crap happens until she notices some clouds in the background that look very, very ominous. And as she notices that, the signal cuts out. She's very unhappy at this. Before she can fully articulate this by screeching at everyone, the boat is zerg-rushed by a herd of whales. Why this happens, we don't know, but there are a ton of them and they hit the boat. Something happens and the boat's not working, so Dan's like, hold my tea, and pops into the drink for a quick lookie. Before anything else happens, he manages to cut himself on the plot, which is quite a handy thing in this particular case. He pops into the boat and tells everyone that the props are bent worse than a gamer's spine. After this, Mom stitches him up, while daughter hands him a British health potion. Panic starts to set in as Dad tries to start the boat to no avail. Mom uses the radio to try and call for help, and Sis runs around holding her phone up trying to get struck by lightning, or looking for a signal. I think the former is funnier. They notice some clouds out in the distance with some gnarly-looking lightning and thunder, and they're like, ooh, look, there's a meteorite, let's go all watch that. Dad orders his brown pants as he quickly realizes that there's more than one meteorite, and one of them is heading to them. Oh no, who could have predicted this? Dad grabs a hold of the controls and uses his plot brain to will the boat to start with the power of a movie, which it does, and putters out the way of the meteorite, which is very fortuitous for everybody else, because that means there's more movie, which is good. After the boat craps out, he looks over the back of the boat to see that it's floating. It's not actually a meteorite, it is a satellite. But before he can fully get into any details like that, all weird shit starts to happen. The waves pick up, there are noises, there's wind, there's lightning, there's a whole bunch of crap. They quickly try to throw everything that could be a problem with the big waves hitting the ship. Bro and Sis are given emergency floaties. Bro falls and hurts himself. Twice. And as the actions taken later lead me to think that he landed on his head. Twice. Sis upchucks some birthday cake, and everyone starts bleeding from the noses and ears, and lose consciousness. A new day, a new horror. The fam wakes up only to see that there'll be no social out here no more, Captain. Much confusion is to be had. Our resident lightning pole gets back to her job. Bro runs around, and Dad stares at a map with a compass, and using only the power of plot, determines that the poles have shifted somehow, and the water done got spooked and ran off like Scooby-Doo. Bro grabs some of these birthday balloons and string and runs off to a higher vantage point and floats them up as a marker for other people to see. At this point, he develops a echo that could rival the best of them. Maybe because he has reached 13 years old, or maybe because they're trying to give the scene a bit of size. It is an inappropriate echo because there is nothing to be echoed off of. So, yeah, there is that. Dad mumbles to himself that the conspiracy is right, which is fantastic. Which one? I don't know which specific one he's talking about. Out of the thousands out there, there is no setup, there's no payoff, there's just a random comment about conspiracy theories. So, I have no idea. It seems stupid to me, which would be in the same trend as the entire movie. But maybe it's a thing. So, if you maybe know, just, point your finger down. Point your, no, not point your finger. Oh, write a comment. Tell me which conspiracy theory this is talking about, because I have no clue. Anyway, Jad jacks up the power on the radio, cranks that bastard all the way up to 14, and somehow makes it work without it exploding, which is, I suppose, good. With the powered-up radio, he now manages to get a hold of a research sub. Scientist dude confirms what Dad thought. Polls done be more jittery than a kid on crack, and that the readings are suggesting that they'll swap back soon, which will turn the water into the Terminator, which will be back. Just a quick side note here. I'm no deep-sea astrologist, but I'm pretty sure research subs need a support vessel, and they're designed to operate and study underwater, not above water. Pretty sure they wouldn't have any equipment that could do any of the shit that he's doing. I don't know. I'm just a guy. Maybe I'm wrong, but who knows? Scientist guy says that his partner done got, so there's only room for two. Dad pulls a Chad maneuver here and says, take my kids, because I can't stand the little No, take my kids, they deserve to live. After a little tag team guilting with the mom and dad on the scientist, he agrees and gives them the coordinates. Turns out that they are 2 days apart. How they know this? No clue. It's not like when the water receded, or whatever the water did, they moved, and somehow they still have the exact coordinates of where they are. Don't know. Many questions asked in this movie. We'll see if they get answered. With the good news, the fam start packing for the trip tomorrow. All the goodies, food, water, the whole 9 yards. They do decide to have a good night's sleep before they venture out away from the boat, which, again, makes some sense, which is a rarity in this movie. In the morning, Dad is standing outside on the boat and he sees a man walking towards him with a dog and what appears to be a spear to me, but obviously not to Dad because the dumbass done jumps off the boat, so he rushes to go speak to the not at all dodgy man with the spear. Dad hands him some water, and after a brief drink, Baddie stabs Dad in the stomach with a spear, which is a knife attached to a pole, and then sends Dad to Jesus with a stab to the neck. Dad drops harder than my IQ when watching this movie. Mom sees this and rushes back on board. Much panic and wailing and gnashing of teeth to be had, with a Scooby-Doo level of pursuit in, on, and around the boat. Mom eventually lures Baddie into a trap where Sis shoots him with a flare gun, hitting him squarely in the chest, bouncing off and setting the boat on fire. Baddie reaches for her, but she TKOs him with her foot. They all rush out the boat, and Mom grabs a couple things and stuffs them into a large burst bag thing. Not any of the pre-packed bags that were lying around from the previous night. Not a fire extinguisher to put out the fire and beat the crap out of the baddie guy that is lying on the floor unconscious. Nope, fuck that logic. We're going to take barely nothing and rush off. Pretty sure this is going to be A-OK because, runtime of this movie says so. They run off in the direction of the sub. After running for a while, there's a little rainstorm and they stop to drink from the singular water canteen they have. Sis starts sniping at Bro because it was his fault, she thinks, that the bad guy came because of the balloons and attracting attention. Much upsetness happens. Mom manages to calm the situation down and they move off. We pan, we see the baddie following them because, of course, he is. We cut to some time later, indeterminate time, where Bro is fucking with a shark for no apparent reason. They're just meandering like there is no rush in the world. It's not like there is the threat of sudden death when the water returns. Nope. We have time to fuck around with sharks. So we do that. I suppose the plot does call for them to slow down so that the baddie can catch up, which conveniently just happens. Mom sees the baddie, they run. He follows, he's limping, he's not happy. So we have a chase of one guy limping, following a family of mostly fit people. Should be no contest. Thankfully they all read the script and know exactly what's happening. We follow the baddie. His limp eventually magically disappears. How handy. They keep running, keeping an eye out for baddie. They stop for some water and, oh no! The water is gone. Somebody didn't close it properly. Mom is pissed. Sis thinks it was her. They have a shouting match about dying and stuff, which, is fair enough. They're not in a good space. Eventually, they storm off together in the same direction. They eventually crest a hill, and lo and behold, in the far distance, not that far, is a plane in the middle of an open area. So, nothing dodgy about it, nothing to draw your eye to it. It's not like there's a big neon sign saying, here, nothing like that. They decide to investigate. They open it up, find that it is serviceable. They get inside and decide that they will stay there for the night. They eat a power chocolate, which is a good thing that Mom decided to grab them. Mom tells them how she met their father. Much crying to be had. And they all go to sleep at the same time. What's the worst could happen? Well, Sis wakes up a little while later, moves outside, zones out, staring at the horizon. Baddie sneaks up on her and walks past the opening in the plane. He swings and somehow doesn't see the opening, Mom or Hero or anything, and Mom initiates plan Hell Hath No Fury. After murking Baddie, they climb back in the plane until morning. They climb out and see Baddie has been nibbled a little. Mom cranks the tension knob all the way up like a seasoned pro and states the obvious. This was not human, and they have other stuff to worry about. No shit. For instance, the ocean coming back. That's not human. That's something to worry about, but something else. Okay, cool. Okie dokie. We need more tension. Fair enough. Who am I to argue? Well, I'm a YouTuber. Of course I'm going to argue, but you know what I mean. They march ever forward when dumbass bro sees something off in the distance and starts sprinting towards it. Before Mom and Sis can stop him, he's head deep in a dodgy brown puddle, presumably driven to this by dehydration and dumbassery. It takes both Mom and Sis to pull his head out of the water, hopefully before he drinks too much and gets sick. He gets sick. They continue on after this teeny-tiny little mishap. Eventually, Bro is unable to continue, and they stumble upon a very convenient outcropping of plastic chairs. I always wondered how those were grown. Now I know. The more you know, and all that stuff. Anyways, Mom, using the power of Mom and plot, manages to put together a shelter with nothing else. Mom, who was previously mentioned as a doctor, manages to pull out a syringe filled with some brown gunk, which I can only assume is something called plot juice that she uses to counteract the dumb assery of her son. She jabs him, they fall asleep. At the same time, again. Mom wakes up to a noise, has a little look over the hill, and craps her pants. She runs back to the shelter, waking the kids up, much panic and running to be had, when out of nowhere, not really, a container ship arrives. Well, they spot a container ship. They spot 3 peeps who spot them. The peeps done peeping them, do pee their pants and run. Much panic and close-up shots of everything except for what's chasing them. Budget reasons, methinks. The peeps lock themselves into a container. Not sure how plot containers work, but in the real world, you can't lock yourself into a container. They only lock from the outside. Mom and the kids reach the container and bash on it, unable to get in, again, because it locks from the inside, not the outside. Plot containers sure are inconvenient at times. They climb on top in time. How lucky for them. The peeps in the container, who are armed, by the way, are not as lucky. People in container. Hole in container. Crabs in hole. People and crabs in container. Much shotgun fire in container. I'm pretty sure after the second or third shot they would have blown their eardrums out and fallen down, but, plot containers are very misunderstood. A lot more research needs to be done on these things. Apparently they have very good sound dampening properties. Mom got snipped by a sniping ninja crab as she climbed up the container. Good thing that crabs are known for razor-sharp claws, which can instantly cut through jeans and skin. But on top of the container, Mom manages to use her scarf to wrap the wound to stop the bleeding before she passes out from the pain. I think in this world, child dumbassery is contagious. Mom wakes up during a sandstorm. No kids to be seen anywhere around. It would appear that I received more first aid training from my electrician dad than these dumbass kids got from their doctor, Mom. Instead of waking her up, putting her in the recovery position, making sure that the wound is tended properly, they fucked off to explore, which makes perfect sense. The crab seemed to have vanished because, unknown reasons. Mom manages to climb down the container, which is now open, and finds the shotgun the unfortunate peeps used earlier. After this, she goes looking for the kids in a sandstorm. This next section of the movie nuked my brain cells into the negative digits. So, hold your pants for the stupidity. The kids are hiding in a container to get out of the sandstorm, leaving their mom on top of the container, injured, unconscious, and suffering the full brunt of the sandstorm. No attempt to help her or anything. And yes, I understand the younger kid is 13. The older one is probably 17 or 18. So the absolute disconnection and brain rot they must have to not do anything to help their mother is off the charts. No attempt at a temporary shelter, no waking up, no trying to move her, just so long, thanks for the fish. And it gets more than mind-numbing after this. Bro, who is 13, somehow knows how to reload a pump-action shotgun perfectly. And to end it off, he pumps it and hands it to Mom like it's nothing, while Mom asks how he knows this. The plot called for a badass moment, and he delivered a moment at least. She then proceeds to use a rusty bit of metal to friction cut a shotgun shell, managing to perfectly cut it between the sabot and the gunpowder. How lucky! She's a doctor, by the way. I mention this again because it's important for the next part. She pours the gunpowder from the shell onto her wound, which is not bleeding, by the way. It's not uncontrollable or anything like that. And then she lights it. And this is so unbelievably stupid that my brain 404'd when I saw this. The only time where this is kind of even remotely, maybe makes sense. You're in the middle of nowhere, you have an uncontrollable bleed that you cannot stop by any other means, and you need to do it quickly because of situation. Then maybe you do this. Not when the wound is not bleeding and is pretty much tended anyway. So, yeah, it's just, this is something a civvy would do, having seen it done in a movie, not a doctor. A doctor. Anyways, and we know that she's a doctor because earlier she stitched up the husband's wound and she materialized a syringe full of anti-dumbass juice for the son. So, I have no idea other than to look badass why this would even be here. Also, somehow the pain of burning the flesh doesn't knock her out, because it's less painful than the cut that was instantaneous. This burning flesh thing took like 15 seconds in the movie time. So it was an awful long time, and that shit hurts. It hurts so bad. So she manages to pass out from a cut. A deep cut, I would admit, but not the burning of flesh causing third-degree burns to yourself. Sure, okay. Logic? Nah. When curtain calls went out, logic was absent in this particular one. Anyways, they stock up on water from a random container. How they found this? Dunno. But it is very convenient. Mom tries to call the scientist guy, while Bro goes into a container with the peeps and grabs a handgun, which neither Mom or Sis seem to give two craps about. This is a staggeringly attentive and caring family. After some messing with the gun, he manages to change the magazine to a fresh one. Mom gets a hold of scientist guy. She's lost the map and can't find him. We are shown a seriously injured scientist guy now. She tells him that they were attacked by something. It was crabs. Not sure why she doesn't say crabs, but, you know, a crab walks like a crab, it talks like a crab, it must be a crab. But nope. She asks him what they are, still not using the word crabs. He tells her that they are arthropods from the abyss, which is a nice alliteration, but other than that, answers very little. He also says that the oxygen must be driving them crazy, which is just as good as the neutrinos are mutating. Anyways, to avoid thinking any further, he fires off a flare. They spot it. The magic crabs in the plot ocean get their curtain call and start warming up. Much walking to be had. While marching through the crevasse, a rock slide happens for no apparent reason. They rush but are separated by an alarmingly easy-to-climb rock slide. But fear not, the plot won't be that easy. She tells them to run, to save themselves. She can't make it up the mildly inconvenient rock slide. They do. Arriving at the sub, they think it's empty, but eventually find Scientist Man, who's on death's door from his wounds. Why or how he was injured? Don't know. He tells them they have minutes. How he knows this? Don't know. She runs back to Mom. Mom hears a swarm of ninja crabs heading towards her and is able to use a shotgun like a seasoned pro. How she suddenly knows this? No clue. Maybe she plugged into the Akashic records or a stunt brain. Either is equally possible in this movie. Just as she runs out of ammo, Sis arrives to help her climb the very climbable rock slide, and they run to the research sub. They manage to outrun the crabs that are so fast that they're either right in front of you or nowhere to be seen at all. Nowhere in between. They climb onto the sub while Bro wildly shoots at the crabs with his handgun. We then have a completely unnecessary shot of Mom taking the handgun from Bro to hold off a horde of thousands of crabs while Bro and Sis climb inside the sub. It takes them like 5 seconds to do it, but she thinks about wasting time for a cool shot before emptying the gun, which fired 24 shots, by the way. That kid is good, managing to pack that many bullets into a single magazine. I mean, the military should probably hire him at this point. Anyways, she dives into the sub where they seal the hatch up and lock it. Without training or knowledge. How they know this? I don't know. Same as before. Stunt brain, I think. And at this point, it is the ocean's time to shine. We see a wall of sea. Fam gets strapped in harder than a crash test dummy, and like whenever a very movable object hits an extremely unmovable force, absolutely nothing happens. They manage to not die from G-forces by being hit by a tsunami and float to the top. Everyone starts bleeding from the nose and ears again, and Sis has another birthday cake. They wake up sometime later and conveniently are oriented for the hatch to be above water. They climb out. The camera pans. They are now in the middle of a city. How? No clue. This city is absolutely trashed. No movement, no people. The camera pans to the family, who are relieved to have survived, and promptly fades to black. End of scene. End of brain cells. End of movie. This movie is called Survive, which I think is ironic, because the only reason anyone survived in this is because of the plot and nothing else. Intelligence seems to have evacuated the moment the first satellite hit the water and has never returned. The movie is completely unfulfilling as a story. There is no ending. There is just a meh. We've tired now, we're ending the story. Not an actual ending. This movie asks many questions and valiantly answers none of them. As an audience, we only have ever asked one question, which is what the actual fuck is going on? This remains unanswered. This movie is not bad in an enjoyable way. It is just bad in a bad way. Anyways, I would not recommend it. It's only an hour and a half, so if you want to lose some brain cells the legal way, I'm sure watching this movie will help you in your endeavor. Anyways, thank you for spending your time with me in this video. In this attention economy, I know everybody is pulled every which way, and I'm honored that you decided to spend some of your time with me. If you enjoyed this, I would be honored again if you clicked like and hopefully subscribe if you want to see more of this content. Now, I'm going to hide under my desk and cry myself to sleep. Goodbye.